Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and for my 17th episode, I interviewed Denver comedian Zac Maas. Zac Maas is the host of the podcast Whiskey and Cigarettes on the Sexpot Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Maas Comedy. That's Maas, M-A-A-S, Comedy. And you can check out his upcoming dates at zacmaas.com. That's ZACMAAS.com. Zac and I talked about insomnia, pantheism, having dreams that last decades, punching people in your sleep, and, of course, what it's like to live in a state with legalized marijuana. This podcast is brought to you by audible.com. You can go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. Today, I'd like to recommend Paddle Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. Also, if you've been enjoying this podcast, please rate and review on iTunes. Every little bit helps. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Well, I'm really excited about sharing this interview with you guys, so let's get started with the show. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and this is my guest, Zac Maas.
You nailed it.
Maas, yes. He's in town from Denver.
Yes, I'm out here. I came out for Snubfest at Zany's. I'm performing down there tonight. And met you at Laugh Factory last night. That was fun.
It's a fun show we did, yeah.
It was a good time. And I liked that the mic stand... Nobody could figure it out. It was broken. It was down. It was in the shorty position, and I like there was a lot of one-handed adjustment attempts, but nobody could pull it off.
I just told Rebecca, don't mess with it. Just hand me the mic. I don't, because it was only so high. It was like a foot and a half off, like 2 feet off the ground or something.
So are you a microphone in the stand, or a microphone out of the stand?
No. I take the microphone out of the stand, put it behind me like every time.
Yeah, I am an in-the-stand comic. I'm used to talking with both of my hands, so I actually think out of the, like many years that I've been performing, I think there's probably been around 10 times that I've taken a microphone out of a stand, and it's usually all because I'm forced.
See,
because they don't have a stand.
Well, when I'm doing especially when I'm doing a longer set, I usually find a way in my last joke to find a way to usually put the mic in the stand so people are prepared and ready to come up next, you know? But, how'd you sleep last night?
I tossed and turned a little bit. I stayed at a friend's house that I met. She was working out at Bridgetown Comedy Festival in Portland. I met her out there, and I'm staying with Zach Peterson now, who's a local comic, but he was out of town and didn't get back till today, so I crashed on her couch last night, and it wasn't bad, but I always toss and turn a little bit.
Do you sleep well at all, or do you have any?
Well, I have all kinds of weird sleeping things.
Ooh, that's great, because that's perfect for this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could get weirder than me, but I'm pretty sure, I'm always curious, so...
Well, you just fall asleep randomly, right?
No, it's more than that. I also do sleep paralysis, hallucinations, a lot of things. So it's not just, narcolepsy is way more complicated than on the surface.
So, when I was young, I was a pretty bad insomniac.
Wait, when you were, a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's interesting, because I don't think a lot of kids have insomnia.
Yeah, I had massive problems going to sleep, because I would lay down and my mind would just wander. Mostly because from a very young age I started questioning God.
Like how young? Like 5, 7, 10?
7, 8, 9.
I think that's always interesting. Were you brought up Catholic?
So technically I guess my mom's side of the family's Irish Catholic, but I was more Lutheran. But I always hated church, and it just always seemed really kind of ridiculous to me, and I started noticing a lot of things. But the thing that I would always wonder about is who made God?
That's a very simple kid. I think that's interesting is that it's a very simple kid question.
Yeah, and then I would start to... But it was weird, though, because I still had this fear of hell, so then I would start questioning things, but then I'd be like, you can't think that way, you're gonna go to hell if you think that way. And then it's like, oh man, that's scary. And then, I don't know, I tried to be, like, a Christian and didn't really voice my opinions until I went through, like, confirmation when I was 13.
I did the same thing. So I went to a Catholic grade school, so I already went, like, First Communion was part of the curriculum, but then I switched schools to a non-religious middle school, you know? It was still small school, but then my parents had me in confirmation classes, and halfway through I was just like, I don't know if I'm feeling this, because I was asking questions they couldn't answer, and I just asked my parents, hey, is it cool if I just don't do this? And they were like, okay.
Yeah, my parents still wanted me to go. My dad did anyways, but, like, he always looked at it like something that, it was like a phase, I think. And now I'm not sure if my dad even is that stout of a believer anymore after having 2 children that were pretty devout. Well, I'm a pantheist now, but my brother is an atheist.
What's a pantheist, exactly?
So I believe that everything's made out of energy. Like, has a backing in science, too. Like, you know, you're made out of atoms, I'm made out of atoms. There's, you know, oxygen, silicon, and all kinds of atoms in between us. We're breathing them in and out. So technically, atoms aren't touching, but they are, and there's, like, no space. Like, there's a small space between each of them, but, I mean, there's, like, atoms connecting you and me, and we're all part of this massive existence, which that is what I see as God. So and therefore, since I'm a part of that, and you're a part of that, and you have the ability to make decisions and influence that, yeah, you're God as well.
I really believe in, like, energy transfers, like positive energy, negative energy. Like, I like being around people that, like, up my positive energy, you know, and I feel like there's always that balance, but I've never heard it described that way. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think that, you know, I believe in, like, positive energy and that, like, having intent in what you're doing and that, like, you really can manifest things. I have in my life a lot of times.
Like what? What have you manifested?
Oh, I mean, I don't know, doing comedy, coming here, they're all things. What's funny is I actually printed out pictures of, well, I didn't print them out, but I downloaded them and like made them part of a folder.
Not a vision board?
Well, I hate that term. But, yeah, I mean, essentially, I, like, looked at pictures of these clubs and, like, put the intention forward that I wanted to perform at them. And that was, I don't know, about 7 or 8 months ago. It was, like, a thing that was, like, the 30 best clubs in the U.S. or something. And I, like, actually saved all the pictures to a folder and just, like, kind of put that out there. And now, you know, like, I was on the stage of the Laugh Factory last night and get to go to Zany's tonight. And, I'm always just really big on trying to manifest what I want. I mean, there's a time when I was a homeless street musician in San Francisco, and, like, that city, it was crazy. You could, like, manifest shit, like, I'm not talking, like, very complex stuff, but if you're like, you know, I want to get stoned, or I want some food, or, like, that city just, like, would manifest it for you, and I don't know.
That's really cool.
It was a cool experience, but,
Wow. So you were homeless in San Francisco. What was that like?
It was cool. I kind of got to a point where I just had a freak out in my, like, mid-20s and was just doing the same shit. So I left all my possessions behind and took a train to San Francisco and got off with, like, $4 in my pocket and lived there for a few months playing music. It was good.
That's cool. That's definitely ballsy. I feel like I have, as you can see, I feel like I've got, like, way too much stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's really great to get rid of all your shit. Like, I don't know, like, people always bring you, it's amazing, like, by the time I was, like, 25, the amount of knickknacks and, like, shit people had given me that I didn't even want that was just, like, sat in a drawer, and it's like, I don't need to remember, you know, when you fucking went on vacation to the Grand Canyon, or, I always think it's interesting when people get people's shirts. When they're on vacation of a place, and then people are like, oh, have you been to that place? And you're like, no, my friend had a really sweet vacation there, though. Like, they said it was the best.
This is why I collect postcards, because they're very small, and I'll buy postcards at other places, but not the typical, hey, this is the tourist thing I went to. I'll do these silly, weird, artsy ones. You guys can't see, but I have all these art, so I can remember, like, Oh, where's the one? The crab. You see the one with the crab on top of the telephone? That one I got at the Tate Modern Museum in London. Because I couldn't afford any souvenirs when I was traveling Europe, so I just got these weird postcards in different cities.
You don't want to haul shit anyways. Like, I don't know, whenever I'm on vacation... Like, I used to feel like I needed to buy people souvenirs, and now I'm just like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want souvenirs. I'm not going to get you souvenirs. Like... Fuck that. I would have brought you a postcard, though, if I knew.
Oh, well, you can always mail me one when you get back.
I have a bunch of really cool Mark Mothersbaugh postcards. Because he did he did, I think, something like 36,000 different postcard drawings.
Oh, cool.
Are you familiar with him?
He sounds familiar, but I
he's
can't think...
from the band Devo, but he's also this, like, really good...
artist,
like contemporary artist. Like he does a lot of really cool shit. I like David LaChapelle, who has all these weird, I think like that one in The Office with this, he does all these weird big extravagant kind of photography, journalism stuff, more artsy photography. So he does these huge tableaus, like ridiculous. Like one time he did one with I think it was all the TV moms, like, you know, like the mom from the Brady Bunch, the mom from the Partridge Family, all of them were in the shot, and it was this house, but it was like this big kitchen, but it was like on fire, and like he like sets fires to sets and like does all this crazy stuff. You had me at fire.
Yeah.
I love fire.
Are you a pyromaniac?
I think every boy is, to some extent. I think it's in our nature to play with fire.
Both figuratively and literally?
I don't know. Not figuratively, but I mean, literally every friend that I have, we've had a conversation about, like, so what did you light on fire when your parents weren't home when you were a kid? 'Cause, like, I just burn whatever. Like, the kitchen sink was, like, my little safe fire area where I had the water there to put stuff out, and I would just, like, experiment with lighting all kinds of shit on fire. And then I went, my cousin and I are the same age, and, like, a lot of my family comes from farmers. And, like, I went to visit him, and the way that they play with fire on a farm is a lot crazier than how you do it inside of a house. Like, you can get pretty wild in a machine shed. Like, and they have, like, crazy sprayers with flammable chemicals.
Oh, my God, that's terrifying.
So we were, like, we'd tape a matchbook to a, like, 5-gallon bucket and light it on fire, and then just, like, spray stuff and shoot fire, like, across the room. I think that's why... I don't know. I don't like vaporize. Like, I quit smoking, but when I did smoke cigarettes, I didn't like the vaporizing or any of that, because I like lighting shit on fire. I don't know.
You think that's why a lot of people like smoking? They just like the feeling of having fire in their hand, lighting it.
Well, and even with weed, like, I like to smoke actual weed versus, like, I don't know if you've seen dabs or any of that stuff, but, like...
Yeah, like, I've got a vape pen, you know, but there's nowhere to get stuff here to get things for the vape pen, so... somebody gave me one when I was in California. I was like, this is awesome, but I didn't realize how hard it would be to get oils here, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, vape pens are, I mean, I'll smoke them, but I like that act of lighting on fire. A bowl is like a little teeny campfire, and I think that's what it stems back to, is that if you had an interest in fire, there was a time in life where it was pretty beneficial to be able to start fire, and that came also, probably from a curiosity.
And also back in the day, too, it's almost like a communal thing. It's like you have a campfire, and that's like people gathered around the campfire. Comedians gather around a bowl for conversation, you know, different things like that. It's still kind of a weird communal thing, too.
Yeah, I've never thought of the whole gathering around the bowl like a fire, but I guess it does make sense. You don't smoke weed in a square.
Yeah, it's a circle. Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's...
That makes me want to build a fire pit in a square, though. It's weird. It would be weird.
That would be weird. I used to light... I had this big... container. Like, it was like a... when I was like 13, it was one of those things where you guess like the number of Skittles or something, and I won it like in school, and it was this huge thing with like 10,000 Skittles or something. And after it was empty, I used to put coins and stuff in it. So when I went through my fire phase, I liked fire art. So what I did was I took crayons and I would just burn and let the wax melt down. So I had this beautiful big glass thing with all these different colors running down it.
Cool.
And I don't know if my parents, because I justified it to myself. I'm like, I'm not a pyromaniac. I'm just going to make art out of it.
Well, and I found that there is a lot of women that like fire and to play with fire too, but I don't feel like I have never asked a guy if he played with fire when he was a kid and had him say no. Like,
oh, yeah?
It's like unanimous, I feel.
Oh, that's interesting.
If any of your listeners, male listeners, didn't play with fire as a kid, tell Sarah so she can tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm releasing a study.
We're going to do a very scientific study here.
Yeah, podcasting from a bed, it's the most scientific way to do studies.
Is this the oddest place you've ever had a podcast? You've ever been on a podcast for? Like for an interview?
I'm trying to think. What are some weird places that I've done on? I mean, a bed's not that weird. I mean, it's just like another room of the house. It's just that we're laying down. I don't know. I mean, is a car any more weird or a...
I guess you're right. But I guess it feels a little bit... I don't know. I guess for me, it's like, oh, you're laying down. It's a little bit more personal. I don't know. It
is very relaxing. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty chilled out right now.
You're going to fall asleep, right?
No, I'm not going to fall asleep. Maybe if I have a few more beers. But no, it's relaxing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, one of the weirdest times is I did a podcast with Ron Lynch and Drennan Davis, basically like in a fucking closet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that one was a little weird. I don't know, I've done some outside. I have a Zoom, so it's pretty portable.
Nice. That's good.
Don't need an outlet, so... the Comedy Works condo, their new condo is pretty weird. That was fun.
Huh. That's cool.
Have done a few there recently. We had Dana Gould on and
oh, that's awesome.
Greg Proops on.
Oh, they're both awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
Were they in town for prom or for something?
They were in town for. They just were performing at the club. So
that's great.
And yeah, so Greg came on for the second time, but it was fun. Yeah, I don't know. This is cool though. I'm hip to it.
Earlier, you were talking about as a kid being an insomniac.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just have a lot of trouble sleeping, and I still do sometimes. It's one of the main reasons I smoke pot.
To help you sleep.
To help with insomnia. And it's also so that I don't dream.
You don't... Wait, why don't you want to dream?
I have really intense dreams.
Do you sleepwalk?
I do not sleepwalk. I do kick and punch, though.
Do you have to tell that to people you date? Are you like, hey, just a FYI, if I punch you in my sleep, it's not like...
Well, there's a few things I have to tell people I date when they sleep in a bed with me, but yeah, that's definitely one of them. I punched a girlfriend in the face. And, like, I was totally... I was fighting somebody in a dream, and I swung to punch, and I just went over, and she was right next to me.
What did she do?
It didn't bruise her, and she was just like, "What the fuck?"
You think you're just gonna do a night attack?
And there's
had you been dating a while, or was it like a?
Yeah, we've been together for like 6 months or so, and that was like the first time that I'd ever it's the first and only time that I've hit or really hit another person where it was like kind of like real shitty. Like I've kicked, people, but that's
kicking or nudging or accidentally pushing them off the bed or.
I've never done that, but I kicked a hole in a girl's wall.
Wow.
Like not a bad one, but it was like I dented it in a little bit because it's usually like I'm fighting something, and I don't dream very much. But if I don't smoke pot, I quit for 3 months. What made me start again. Well, first of all, I was having very intense dreams, but I had one dream where, I literally lived an entire lifetime, from childhood up until the point where I was, in my 70s. I had kids, I got married, but, literally, when I woke up, I didn't know where the fuck I was. I didn't know who I was. And I looked it up, and it is a rare condition that happens to people, but...
What's it called?
They don't even really have a name. I can't remember what it's called, but it really fucked with me. And like,
it's so like kind of like Inception in a little bit, like a little kind of craziness.
Well, yeah, I mean, I woke up and I just started crying because I missed my wife, and like I didn't like, and then realizing that all this shit, like this entire life, like I remember everything, like day by day by day. Are you kidding me? Like when that's a lot of it's faded now, but like yeah, there was like it is like my entire life as real as my life is to me right now, and like but like twice the age that I was.
So do you feel wiser now? Like do you feel like you learned lessons in that lifetime that?
I was just, when I woke up, I was just devastated and in shock. And it took me about 6 hours to get back to like being like normal, but what I was reading is some people it can take like weeks to get back into it.
I've had some dreams that were like really long like that, where I was like a different person and things like that, but never like a whole lifetime.
Yeah, like just like my childhood and like my friends and like, you know, like literally everything that you experience in life, but even twice as long. It was fucked up. It was really fucked up. And after that, I'm gonna smoke weed for the rest of my life. I do not ever want that to happen to me again.
But isn't it kind of cool? Like for me, it's like, wow, it's like you're living a whole life. That's
yeah,
crazy.
And there's people that are into that in the lucid community, where they're all about like having control over that, and what they feel is that they can live 1,000 lifetimes in their life. Like there's people that are like on the forum. What's funny is the people that it's happened to are like, this is the fucking terrible thing, and it was horrible, and I didn't like it. And then anybody that's like a lucid dreamer, like somebody who's into that kind of shit, is like, that sounds amazing. Like that's what they're trying to do, is achieve things like that so that they can live entire lifetimes in their sleep. But it's but like you don't understand. You like I had kids and a fucking wife and like best friends, and like you wake up and you're like, oh my god, like none of those things are real, and you have all these memories with these people, and I mean it fades, you know, it's just like any dream.
Now were you or were you a different person?
I was a different person.
And I've done stuff like not on that scale, but I've definitely done things where like I woke up crying because like I thought that I was in love with somebody. I thought I was like in love. I found this amazing person I'm going to spend this time with. And it was like kind of like a love story unfolding. And then I woke up.
Was it a person that you knew in real life?
No.
See, I'd had those with people. I really hadn't had them since I was a kid. Like, since I started smoking pot, it's really cut my dreams down a lot. But I used to have stuff like that when I was young. Where I'd like the girl I had a crush on at school, we would like be together and stuff, and then I would wake up and be like, wonder like, did that happen?
Well, it's so interesting. Like, do you believe in past lives at all? Like, do you think that maybe your dream was just your whole dreaming of a whole past life that you actually had?
Yeah, but it was weird because it was kind of like the time frame of like when I was born. Like, it felt like there would have been overlap in my actual life and that life.
I think that's totally possible. And that sounds crazy, but I think...
But I've done past life regression hypnosis.
What is that?
So it's basically like you get into a really deep meditative state. Like, you meditate for like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
See, I can't do that. Anytime I try to meditate, I fall asleep.
You have to train to do it. Like, meditation is something that, like, it's not like you just, like, sit down and do that. Like, you have to practice it.
Well, no, I've done some meditation. It's just, like, I get so relaxed when I meditate that I fall asleep if I don't have something actively happening. Because the idea is to...
Well, and it's guided, though, so there's somebody talking to you.
Oh, okay.
So
I've never done a guided.
That's the only way that I really like to meditate. Otherwise, I just do, like, your basic, like, Taoist, just, like, 1 to 10, start over, repeat kind of thing. But, I love, like, guided meditations and hypnosis, because I do have kind of a ADHD brain, so, like, somebody talking, guiding me, helps me focus. But... So anyways, you get into a deep meditative state, and then they just start telling you to remember shit. And then I had a very fucked up experience with that, too, because what comes to my mind is that I'm this grandmother, and, like, I'm in this town, And it's like, let the name of the town come to you, and like the name of the town comes to you, and like it's like telling you to just let these things come, and your brain is like spitting out this information, and it's weird. So anyways, I'm this grandmother in this town in Poland, and basically I see these like Nazis, but they're dressed in blue, pull my family out and shoot them in front of me in the street.
What?
So I like counted out of this meditation, and I was like, what the fuck? And like I looked up the name of the town, and it was actually a town in Poland. And then the thing that I was like, this is bullshit, because I was like, they were all dressed in blue, like they were wearing blue uniforms, and I'm like, the Nazis wore gray, like this is bullshit. But then I looked up during the invasion of Poland the color of their uniforms, and they're these fucking like light blue, the fucking same uniforms, and like all this shit. So it's like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of the past life regression meditations either, because not all, if you think about it, life is pretty fucked up before, the last. I mean, it's still fucked up for a lot of people. But if you think about past life regressions, like, not a lot of them probably end very well.
Man.
Or were that good of lives. So
That's
it's like,
crazy.
I don't know why you need to...
So you smoke weed to not have these kinds of things?
To not dream.
Not dream.
The past life regression was something that I wanted to experiment, to try. And I have gone lucid twice.
So was that, wait, by the way, with the past life regression, was that like, was somebody physically there with you, or was it a tape you had playing? What was it?
It's a tape. It's a recording from a guy named Dick Sutphin. He's probably one of my favorite guided hypnosis kind of guys. He's got, and also he has a really good one for sleep. It's called 4-Hour Restorative Sleep, but it really puts you to sleep quickly and allows you to, like, it's crazy. You'll do it and you'll wake up like almost exactly 4 hours from when you fell asleep, and you'll feel like better and well rested. You can go back to sleep if you want to, but
it's interesting because like the way the sleep cycles go, you know what I mean? Like, like I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes or something for a sleep cycle, something like that. So it kind of adds up. It ends up being about 4 for like an even number.
It would be 3, right?
Yeah, well, like 3 and a half, something like that. But
or an hour and 15 minutes.
Or I think it might be an hour 30. I don't know. But like, I don't know. Like I do this thing. I take medicine at night to balance the narcolepsy, to try to trick my mind into having a regular sleep cycle. And they're in 4 hour. They're like 2.5 to 4 hour increments. So
yeah.
I just take like one. I just take 2 a night to kind of balance it out. It's very weird because I go straight to
REM. Do you wake up and take one? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So it's really weird because I go straight to REM when I sleep. So I could like if I fell asleep right now, I could be asleep for like 30 seconds, but have dreams that last for hours or days. And that's where I've had something similar. It's like I go straight to REM almost. When I got my first sleep study done when I was like 16 or 17, when I was first finding out about it, they plug all this stuff to your mind, your brain, your head, and your chest, and they check all your sleep stats. So I slept overnight, and then the next morning they kept waking me up, and then like they'd wake me up and try to keep me awake for 10 minutes, and then they'd have me go back to sleep for 15, and then wake me up. And like one of the times, within 25 seconds of them turning the lights out, I was like already in REM.
Wow.
Like that's how quickly. And most people take like an hour and 15, hour 30 to get to REM or something like that. So it's really interesting.
Sometimes I'll sit in that transition period right before it, where it's like I'm conscious and I know that I'm laying in my bed and I know like who I am and where I am, and I can feel the blankets against me and the sheets or whatever, but I'm still like very actively dreaming.
So you have like hallucinations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called hypnagogic hallucinations.
Oh, cool.
That's the name. Well, there's a hypnagogic and a hypnoponic, and one is when you're really tired about to go to sleep, and one's when you first wake up and you're coming back to reality. So I have both of those, but a lot of times they're combined with a sleep paralysis where you feel like you can't move your body.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've had that, because I feel like I can move if I wanted to, but it's like I don't.
Well, you have the
know.
whole punching thing.
Yeah, which That's definitely weird. Well, and I have other weird stuff too.
What are the other weird stuff? What's the other weird stuff?
So I also have a weird thing where like my libido doesn't shut off when I go to sleep.
Okay.
So like this has only happened twice, and it's been like with a woman who I was in a relationship with. But like I basically wake up in having sex.
I've done that before too. That's
and I get mad I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to me? Like I'm sleeping, and they're like no. And this is what's weird about it is that like apparently like there's like foreplay involved. Like
I've
she's like, you started this, and like what's the other part that's fucked up about it is both times they were both like, you were killing it, like you were doing really
You're
well.
like, hey, wow, I should just like, well,
what the fuck.
So I've had that happen before too. It was with and like I'm kind of similar. Like I think my body just like moves at night. You know, like when you're with somebody for a long time. I dated a guy for a few years, and one night I think I might have said this on the podcast before. So apologies if you've heard the story before on the podcast. But anyways, I was with my ex, and we had stayed in he had a gig, and he's a musician, and he had a gig in Wisconsin, and we stayed at his friend's cabin with a bunch of other people, right? And we shared like a sleeping bag, and like we woke up, and I was like on top of him. We both woke up mid-sex, like, and there's a room full of other people, which was not our style. You know what I mean? That's not typically what we were, but it was like this weird thing. Like our bodies were just so used to it. I think it was more like our bodies were used to it, but not like. So wait, how long had you been having sex when you woke up?
Apparently to them, like 5 to 10 minutes.
That's right. More than a lot of people have sex for. So that's.
Well, I have sex for a long time. I have control over that. Like when I'm conscious, but when I'm unconscious, I guess. Yeah. I'm not like a 3-minute guy. No,
I get what you mean.
I know a lot of those exist in the world, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm happy if it's at least 10 to 15, I'm happy, you know, like, but that's weird, man. Like, did you ever, all right, here's another question that's kind of weird. Like, did you finish while you were asleep, or what? Like you woke up and then? No,
I never finished. Like it was like I woke up and then I stopped because it wasn't like it was
freaked
like
you out,
off-putting to me. Where I'm like,
yeah.
What are you? Well, and I wake up and I'm like, what are you doing? like I was like I got mad and like kind of like was like, what are you get?
Were you like, this feels good, but I don't want it. I'm confused.
Well, I'm just like I'm sleepy. Like I don't know. It's like I don't. I'm actually a really good morning person now, but like there's certain times like and it's really more naps that when I wake up, but there's every once in a while I wake up just on the total where I'm super pissed. But a lot of like women that I've dated like who aren't morning people hate me in the morning because I'm like part of it has to do with comedy and like loving what I do now too. Like I don't have to get up and go to a job that I fucking hate, which really changes how mornings are. Like it's real easy to get out of bed when you're excited about what you want to do. And, like, I find myself most creative in the morning also. So it's like, I don't know. I get up and start making jokes. And
that's great.
Like, yeah. And some of the women that I've dated fucking hate me for it. But,
well, who cares?
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's funny. But.
So when you date someone, you're like, hey, by the way, I could punch you in your sleep and I might randomly have sex with you in the middle of the night and not know it.
Yeah, and that's really put off. It's made some people uncomfortable.
At least you tell them ahead of time, though. Like I basically, once it gets to an exclusive point with people I date, I'm like, hey, I like being woken up. Because for me, I can go right back to sleep. So I like being woken up in the middle of the night. I'm like, hey, like, that's a pretty typical thing with me and some hookup buddies. It's like, we'll hook up the night and then like sometime in the middle of the night, like a couple hours later, and then in the morning. Like that's basically my style, which I think is more than most people. I don't know. But I very much make it clear, hey, you know, I'm totally fine if you want to wake up in the middle of the night and do that. Like, you know, but make sure I'm awake kind of thing. It like
scares me more like when I'm like sleeping on an airplane. Like, cause like it's only happened twice and it's only happened with like with like partners, but it's like weirds me out like if I'm sharing a bed with someone who's not a partner, or like a brother, or like fucking whatever, you know, like, and on an airplane it bothers me too. It's like, God, there's like an old man next to me. What if I try and bang this old man?
What if you try to punch him?
Yeah, or what if I just punch this old man? Or and that happens to me on planes where I'll like have that jarring where I come awake.
Yeah.
But it's like I need to sleep a lot on planes, so it's.
Have you ever thought about the mitten thing? Like Mike Birbiglia had that crazy thing where he would like put his hands in mittens and put himself in a sleeping bag and like do all this stuff, you know?
I guess he still does do that. I think he does that every night, right? Isn't that his routine, or is that just part of his movie dialogue?
No. I think that's part. I think that was like I think that's all pretty realistic.
That's like your white whale for this podcast. Probably.
I'm trying to.
He's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I really love
you don't know him. Do you know him personally?
No, I don't. I've actually tried to get him on my podcast 5 or 6 times, and his agent will respond to me and tell me no at least, which really makes me happy.
Well, that's good.
Like, there's one thing when people just don't respond at all. Mm-hmm. And then there's times when, like, I don't care if you don't want to do it or you can't do it, but it's just like, just tell me no.
Yeah.
Like, or say, you know, next time we'll try, or whatever. You know, like, I've been talking to Joey Diaz for, like, 3 years, but he at least responds, and he's super busy, so I get it, but he'll at least talk to me about it, you know. And like there's certain other guests that I won't mention their name that I'm big fans of, that I listen to their podcasts a lot and have promoted them a lot on my show, and then they don't even they won't even send a response, and it's like, come on.
I am just about on the brink of starting to reach out to bigger people. It's just it's something I'm, you know, like I said, I want to get, you know, this is like maybe my 19th interview or something like that. So it's still like I wanted to have a bit under my belt with people I knew or kind of knew more, you know, before I started doing that. So that way I can make people that I don't know comfortable. Like, I just met you last night. So this is you're probably the person I've known the least before doing a podcast. So it's a skill, I think. And if I'm going to have somebody well-known, you know, invite them. And I think it's also a weird thing. It's like, hey, reaching out to an agent, hey, by the way, this is a podcast that takes place in my bed, in my house. It's not like in a comedy club or somewhere more comfortable.
The best thing I can recommend is comedians are so much more accessible as celebrities than most people. Like, I wouldn't reach out to their agent unless you have to. Because their agent's just like, well, this doesn't pay. It's probably not that much. It's not in their, like, yeah, if that's your last option, but go to them directly first if you can find any way to do that, including, like, just tweeting at them.
Yeah, I thought about that. I just didn't want to be annoying on Twitter. I'm still getting the hang of Twitter. I don't know. I feel so much pressure when it comes to Twitter. I feel like every tweet has to be funny, or, like, I have to do so many tweets before I'm doing something that's promoting myself, and it's like, I don't know, it's a weird thing, you know. I don't have, like...
I think Twitter's kind of stupid. I think it's a joke. I don't know. I have a running gag on my podcast where I ask people to buy me Twitter followers, and they have. Like, they've bought me, like... I have something like 30,000 followers or something. Just because... but it's all a joke, because I think it's ridiculous. I think, like, 4,000 of them are real or something, but...
That's cool, though. I should ask.
Yeah,
hey.
So, by the way, at Maas Comedy, buy me Twitter followers.
Hey, yeah, also, at Sir Albritton, buy me Twitter followers. That's
yeah, and
cool.
it even says in my profile, it's like, yeah, most of these are bought for me by fans or whatever, but it's not like I try and fake it. I don't know. I call Twitter yelling at the void, but I mainly just use it to put out jokes that I'm not comfortable putting out to the public.
I don't know.
No, I'm joking.
I try to do, like, something that's, like, going to be short-term, like a political joke or, like, a joke about the news or something. I don't know. I've been trying to do more of those. I have been trying to play
games on there. Like, I like doing At Midnight and stuff.
Me
That's
too.
kind of fun, but...
My friend Mary Holland was on there, I think, on Monday. So I went to school with her, and she's doing up there, but she does more sketch and improv, and she's on a show right now on Stars, I think. But she's super talented, and it's really cool to see her on there. I like seeing people that I know, you know, like, it's really cool to see people that you know doing awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, and that's a weird thing about comedy is how accessible people are that are, pseudo-famous or whatever in the comedy world. It's like you can go to an open mic your very first time doing comedy and maybe get up with someone who has a Comedy Central special who's in town working some new shit out or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
mean, and here it happens a lot. Like Hannibal, like anytime he's in town, he's always hitting up Kohl's. He's doing stuff, Like there's, a lot of times I've seen, Ron Funches. He was out of my, I see a lot of people around that'll do that because Chicago's a town where you can get a lot of time if you're working on shit, and that's what's cool about it.
Yeah, Funches is awesome.
He's so nice. He's so, kind of shy in person, but sweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's great. So, actually, this is funny. I wasn't there, but our most recent episode that came out, I just realized, was with Eddie Pepitone, and they did it, they recorded it laying in bed with him.
Oh, they did?
At the end of the show, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So...
Well, I'll have to listen to that one for sure. I think it was just for me, it's like, I talk about narcolepsy a lot in my stuff, and I was like, oh, that's a cool way. So I just started interviewing people that had weird sleep stuff that also did comedy, and then I realized that most people have weird sleep stuff anyways. And I don't know, it's just a fun, silly thing to go along with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I didn't have to sleep.
I wish I didn't sleep as much as I do. Sometimes when I oversleep or sleep too much, which is still normal, I guess, for a narcoleptic, I feel like mad at myself, like, oh, I wasted the day. I could have been doing something. And I think that's what my problem is. I get angry at myself. I'm like, oh, I slept for 12 hours, because if I don't take my medicine at the right time, I won't wake up, and then I could just sleep all day. And so and if I'm ever depressed or sad, that's what I'll do. I just don't take my medicine and I escape into my dreams and escape real life and just sleep all day and don't do anything. And,
narcolepsy, when I hear the word, makes me think of like a drug that turns you into a gypsy leprechaun.
What? Wait, a drug that turned you into a gypsy leprechaun?
Like narco makes me think drug.
Mm-hmm.
Lep makes me think leprechaun, and the C makes me think of leprechaun combined with gypsy. So it's like, sorry.
If someone wants to sketch that out, that would be hilarious. What is that? Wait, can you describe that again?
So, I'll repeat this for your listeners that don't want to rewind. It's a drug. Narco's a drug. Lep is a leprechaun, and the C makes me think of a leprechaun gypsy combo, which would be a lepsy. Right.
So if we had a drawing of a leprechaun / gypsy doing drugs, that would be cool.
Yeah, or just a drug that, like, if a normal person ate, it would turn them into a leprechaun gypsy. That's what I'm thinking more of. It's like, I don't know.
You seem like someone that's fun to do drugs with.
Yeah, I'm great at it. I'm old now, so I don't really do it any.
But you live in Denver, where like weed is it just like buying beer? What's it like there now?
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird that everybody calls weed drugs out here to me.
It's not a drug.
I do like to call it. It's a plant. I still like to call it smoking dope, but it's like when I hear drugs, I think like blow and acid and mushrooms and pills and shit like that. I don't think pot doesn't even really. It's like the way that alcohol is one of the worst drugs there is, but when you hear drugs, you don't think alcohol at all.
You don't think caffeine either.
Yeah, you don't think nicotine. You don't think...
That's interesting. Yeah, that's totally right. It's a weird, I guess, just perspective on it.
Yeah, it's like once stuff becomes legal. If you have an ID and you're over 21, you can go and buy up to an ounce of weed, and there's shops everywhere.
That's so cool. I'm actually driving back with my friend from LA next week, which will be weeks after this podcast airs. But we were going to drive through Denver, but now we're going to drive through Dallas. So I was kind of bummed that I won't get to drive through Denver, but I want to definitely visit sometime in the not too distant future.
Why the fuck would you do that? Texas is terrible.
Well, she has family there, and we got gigs in Phoenix and Albuquerque, so we're... I definitely want to go.
There's gigs in Denver, too.
I want to do Denver, believe me. I know there is, and I really want to go there. but it's not really my choice. She's the one with the van and stuff. So, and I'm happy, you know, because I'm sure I'll go to Denver soon. It's only like, what, 12 hours from here?
I think it's 16-hour drive.
Okay, I'll fly then. But I've got a buddy that I used to...
That extra 4 hours makes it so that you'd fly?
Well, I mean, it depends. If I had friends to drive with and we wanted to do that, I'd be fine with that.
So do you ever, like, when you're on car trips, do you not take any of your up meds so you can just crash the whole time, rem out?
Well, sometimes, I mean, the thing is, actually, I'm very proud of myself because I can drive, but just not super long distances by myself. But if I'm with a friend, I can drive for a while. So I live in Louisville, Kentucky, which is like 5.5 hours from here. And I recently drove with a friend of mine to Louisville, and I was so proud of myself because
you're from there, or you still live there?
No, I'm from there. I live there. I live in Chicago.
Because it's weird. Because I'm pretty sure I'm in your house, and I'm pretty sure I'm in your bed, and I'm really fucking sure that I'm not in Louisville,
but
Kentucky.
This could be a dream. No, I'm originally...
And this is definitely not a dream.
Do you need to, do you pinch yourself sometimes to make sure you're not dreaming?
No, I can tell. You can tell by anything digital. I wouldn't be able to read your computer right now if it was in a dream.
See, I can still read stuff in my dreams, which is weird. But
it's not blurry. Digital screens, I can read anything that's not a digital screen, but all digital screens should be blurry in dreams.
I've definitely read text messages and stuff like that.
Could you really read them though? And did your phone really work as well as you? Is it like it? Digital stuff doesn't work. It's wonky in dreams.
I mean, I remember getting text messages, but...
Have you seen Waking Life?
Yes, I have. And I get what you mean about the clock and stuff, but the thing is that I have had dreams where I've looked at this clock right here, and it's been different times, and then I wake up, and I think it's, 8 at night, and it's really, 4 a.m. or something. It's very weird.
So I can... It's blurry. I can make out sometimes what it says or whatever, but it's almost always blurry or it's not working correctly.
But maybe it's your mind fills it in, your memory fills it in.
Well, that's one of the ways. So I've gone lucid a few times.
Was that good or was that a good experience or bad?
So yeah, so I had a really awesome one where it was after I watched an Iron Man movie and I was flying around like Iron Man and realized that I was lucid, and it was
I love flying when you're lucid. It's so fun. That
was awesome. But then I had another one the first time I ever went lucid, and all I could remember was from Waking Life, where the guys, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Waking Life, yeah. Waking Dead, that's a weird crossover.
Yeah. that would be very freaky. That would be it.
Zombies. They're just all narcoleptics. That's what the zombies are. But no, Waking Life, the guy's dead the whole time. That's the whole premise, and they their whole thing is that there's a and I really believe in this after my dream experience. But they say that based on the minute of brain activity after death, that you essentially have an eternal afterlife in that time that lasts forever.
Kind of have you ever seen Vanilla Sky?
Yeah.
Similar, or the I've also seen the Spanish movie that it's based on. What is it? It's Open Your Eyes in Spanish, something Los Ojos. Abrir los ojos, something like that.
I love that you think I know Spanish.
You know what? I just assume that everyone's a little bit more intelligent than I am and knows languages and stuff. I speak a little Spanish and a little Italian, but not anywhere near fluent.
I used to be able to talk shit in the kitchen, but anyways, the first time it happened, I had blurry screen, and I realized I was lucid. And I've had a lot of dreams with blurry screens where I'm just super frustrated and don't realize that I'm in a dream and go lucid. I just think everything's fucked up. But yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh shit. I'm fucking dead, aren't I?
Oh no.
So then I had this panic attack in a dream that I was fucking dead, and I couldn't get out of the fucking dream, and I kind of freaked the fuck out.
Oh man, what happened when you woke up?
I was pretty happy that I was still alive.
yeah, I think that would make you pretty happy.
Yeah, no, I was real stoked to finally wake up. And it was like a weird dream too, where it was like I was lucid and aware that I was in a dream, but I wasn't controlling what was going on, and there was like weird, scary shit and creepy shit and like weird people there, and like it was like it wasn't like it was like, oh great, I'm dead and I'm in a weird, creepy place that I don't like. How do I can't get out of here. So it was like,
do you find that your weird or scary dreams happen like when you're stressed out or when you're like in different situations? Like,
I don't know. To be honest, I've been really happy the last few years, and I haven't really had anything too bad.
That's great.
So, yeah, I guess it could probably have a lot to do with my subconscious. I don't know. Maybe stand-up's helped with getting just... Cause you talk I write a lot more, too. So I talk and I write a lot more and have to communicate with a lot more people. So maybe it just kind of drains my brain more of that shit.
Also, on stand-up, you're being personal. You're sharing all your shit and fears and everything on stage, too. And it's like, maybe that helps instead of holding it in.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a lot nicer person now, too. So, I don't know.
I feel like a lot of stand-ups become, like, more jaded. But you sound like you're not. That's nice.
No, it's weird. Because in stand-up, you have all these different ages of people. You know, like...
You're talking about stand-up ages and how long they've been doing stand-up, or ages and actual age?
I'm talking about both of those crossing over. Like, there's guys that are 8 years younger than me that I know way fucking more about life than they do, but they've been doing comedy longer than me and are way more established and are, you know, maybe a higher level comedian. But, and maybe if I was doing comedy in my 20s, in my early 20s, I'm 33. So, like, if I was doing comedy in my early 20s, yeah, I probably would have... I was fucking jaded in general. I probably would have been, but I've kind of learned to just fucking give zero fucks, and like, I don't have time to be fucking mad about shit, or to even like to get mad about comedy, or like, it's so weird to me when people hate comedy, and it's like, well, maybe you do. Maybe when I hit 10 years, I'll be totally over it, but
I don't know. The thing about comedy that I love is that there's so many different avenues. So honestly, not that I really love stand-up, but if I got tired of it, I could write for TV, there's other things you can do. It's not just enveloped in one individual thing.
Well, and I do all those. I write pilots, I make shorts, I write shorts, I fucking act, I podcast, I fucking I did improv. I don't...
Yeah, I used to do improv.
90% of improv isn't funny. Actually, more like 97%.
Yeah, so I did improv too, and I realized that I like improv as a way to write sketches and to write ideas out, like to make you dialogue better, but I don't like it to do it as a final art form.
I think improv's a good tool to have to like add a little something on a joke, or to just trust your gut to go make something a little funnier or real or relevant in the moment, you know? Like, I don't know, like when I write a script, I'll always do takes where I'm like, all right, just have fun, fuck with each other, you know, and sometimes those are the best ones, and sometimes it's total shit, but at least you have control over it, and there's not a poor audience there that has to watch the shit. Yeah. That's made up of other people that do improv.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are some great improvisers out there, but they're kind of far and few between, you know? But the ones that are, like, amazing.
There really is. And I just like to talk shit about improv because I think it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, but I'm like you. I do a lot of different things. So I think that's why I don't feel like I'll get tired of it, because I'm always doing lots of... So honestly, if I have a joke, and let's say it doesn't work at stand-up, then I might work it into a joke in a pilot, or I might work it into something else.
I really love doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing to do. And, like, I had a friend who said, like, you know, the fucking people and all that shit doesn't... You know, all the stuff that you do and the networking and all the people, like, none of that shit matters. This is my friend Christy Buckley. She has a great podcast called Empty Girlfriend. You should check it out.
Empty Girlfriend. Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a dating and relationship advice podcast. It's really great. But anyways, she was like, but when you're in a fucking small town in fucking Oklahoma and you're all by yourself in a fucking comedy condo, you better fucking love comedy, because that's all you have. And it's like, I've been in those situations... And it's like, fuck yeah, I get to do a show tonight. I don't really, you know, I'll ride this out. I love doing it, you know, and I don't see that changing. It could. At one point in my life, I loved rapping and was a rapper. I thought that I would rap forever.
You were a rapper?
Yeah, I was a rapper.
That's crazy. That's cool. How long was that for? Like, did you do shows and stuff?
Yeah, I did that for like 5 years. I was a musician for like 13 years before I got into stand-up.
I feel like a lot of stand-ups used to do music or did music, and then they kind of transition a little bit to stand-up.
Yeah, I mean, there's the fucking adage that every stand-up wants to be a musician and every musician wants to be a stand-up. And a lot of it's true, which is why we have a mutual admiration for each other. And, a lot of times there's cross relationships in art communities between the musicians and the comedy scenes. Because
you play music, but do you do comedy with your music?
I have a few songs that I'll do, but it's usually I only do it when I'm headlining now or in contests. It's a guitar is a real sneaky way to separate yourself in a contest.
Oh, this is just a timer to keep me on track of time.
Oh man, did we hit an hour?
No, not yet. That was like a 50-something minute. It's just like a thing to know. Hey, gives me time to wind down to try to keep it, and but
yeah, no, I think podcasts should be an hour long. Mm-hmm. I think our longest Whiskey and Cigarettes was like 4 hours, but we used to drink a lot while we did that. I don't remember the second 2 hours of it, but fuck, we had a good time.
So do you listen to that whole 4 hours before you put it out into the world, or were you just like, nah, I remember the conversation?
So my co-host, Jake Becker, does a lot of the listening. I'm not going to lie. There's one where I had broken my foot and was in a wheelchair and on like a ton of painkillers and drank way too much whiskey, and I kicked Brandon Walsh off my show at this festival.
Oh gosh.
And I don't remember any of it. And I hit him up the next day and was like, hey, sorry. And he's like, yeah, I used to be an alcoholic. It's all good.
That's one thing I love is people are very forgiving. They get it. They're like, okay, I've been through that shit. Or
well, yeah, I mean, drinkers understand that drinking actually can be an excuse. If you have a problem with alcohol and you're blacked out, that's probably not you as a person. You should probably take some steps to make sure you don't drink like that anymore. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I was fucking on a ton of, painkillers and booze, which I shouldn't have been doing. And I did learn my lesson from that. I won't eat painkillers and drink anymore together. That's not a good idea.
Well, that's good that you learned the lesson.
But I tried to listen to that podcast, and I can literally hear where there's a point where I start using words that don't even exist, that are not even words, and I'm just I couldn't even listen to it because it was so.
But you still put it out there.
Yeah, still put it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of, my podcast, if I ever ran for political office, they could destroy me.
Oh, yeah. Me.
Which is why I don't ever plan to do that.
Me too. I basically kind of ruined most of my job prospects by, being yep, I've got narcolepsy. I'm going to be really open about it. It's out there, so it's people know. It's not a hidden thing.
There's discrimination. Can they discriminate against you? That's a handicap or disability.
Yeah, kind of. But the thing is, usually you don't tell, the thing is they're not supposed to ask in an interview if you have something like that, and you probably have more trouble getting hired if you mention that you're a comedian. Probably. So as we're winding down, we talked a lot about dreams we have at night and the different kind of dreams you have. But I always ask people at the end of my podcast, what are your dreams for the future, for yourself and your career and stuff like that?
Oh man, I want to make my living creating comedy stuff. Whether it's I want to entertain people and I want to make a living doing it, and that's. Really, if I'm doing those things, then I'm pretty happy. I don't know. I'm not a materialistic person, so it's not there's really any shit I want to buy other than I just don't want to do anything than what I love.
That's cool. And you want to live in Denver? Or you want to branch out?
I really love Denver, and I'm doing a lot to kind of help that's one of my goals in Denver, is to make it more of a comedy hub than it already has, and there's been so many great comics from there that have already done so much for that city and that scene, and I just kind of, a lot of them have taken off to LA or New York over the years, and I want to pick up where they left off and kind of keep making Denver's one of the best fucking comedy scenes in the country.
I've definitely heard that. I heard Chicago, Denver, Atlanta. Or like...
I love Chicago, I mean, I feel like our good comics can hang with the good comics from Chicago. Same with New York, LA. I've been to all those places in the last year. We've got a lot of talent there, and we've got a lot of people that work fucking hard, you know, and I'd like to showcase more of that and get more of that out. I really do love New York. I wouldn't mind maybe living there to be honest, my goal would be to probably live, you know, a few months here, a few months there, and, you know, be traveling. I like to travel, so.
That's cool.
But Denver's my home, and there's a lot of people there that I really love, so I'd always like to be able to spend at least a few months there out of every year.
That's cool. That's awesome, man.
So.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Word. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
I always end with saying good night.
Falling asleep. Good night, Sarah.
Good night. Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Zac Maas. You can check Zac's podcast, Whiskey and Cigarettes, out on iTunes. You can also follow him on Twitter at Maas Comedy. That's MAAS Comedy. This podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. You can go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. Be sure to rate this on iTunes and check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sarah Albritton Comedy. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can also view the video on YouTube or follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Until next time, good night.
Sleeping with Sarah.